How to win friends and influence people. 6 ways to get people to like you, as we finish up on the third principle, which is remember that a person's name is to that person the most important sound in any language. The author shares his experience with Andrew Carnegie, and what a fascinating history he has with this principle. He said when he was just a 10-year-old boy in Scotland, he learned this principle long before he came to America. He said as a little 10-year-old boy, he got a bunny rabbit. And pretty soon he had lots of bunny rabbits, and he needed to feed these bunny rabbits. So he told all of the little kids all of his friends in the neighborhood, if you will go out and help me gather dandelions and grass and different things to feed these rabbits, I will name each rabbit after each of you, your name. And guess what they did? They couldn't gather things fast enough. Well, Andrew Carnegie remembered that lesson later on in life when he moved to America and began in business. He was trying to sell railroad rail to the Pennsylvania Car Company. J. Edgar Thompson, I believe, was the gentleman's name. And he was having a little bit of a struggle selling to him. So he was building a big mill in Pittsburgh, and guess what he did? Guess what he named it? He named it after J. Edgar Thompson, that steel mill. Well, guess where J. Edgar Thompson bought his railroad rail? You guessed it, from Andrew Carnegie. Later on in business, he had another experience with a gentleman who were trying to get the car business on the rail for passengers, and he was competing against a gentleman by the name of, I believe his name was Pullman. Pullman was his name. And they were competing back and forth. They weren't winning the car business. And so one time, Andrew Carnegie ran into him at a hotel, and he said, aren't you and I just making fools of ourselves? He says, here we are competing against one another when what we ought to be doing is working together. Why don't you and I form a corporation together and go after this business? And he said that Mr. Pullman wasn't all that interested, but he said to him, well, what would you call this company? And Andrew Carnegie said, well, the Pullman Palace Car Company, of course. Well, you can guess the rest, my friends. That company was formed, it existed, and they flourished incredibly. Why? Because Andrew Carnegie had learned the simple principle that you and I can learn. And that is that a person's name is to that person the sweetest sound and most important sound in any language. My friends, people like when you and I recognize them by their name. It works. It's a foundational principle to your life. And if you and I will learn it, magic, literal magic will happen in the activities in your life.